Crow has once again returned to the problem that he can never escape. He became a B tier or a C tier just because his star power and his gadget got nerfed, which I think is silly, and I also think it's been his problem since the very beginning. Crow was a pretty good brawler in the beta. Given he's a legendary, he should be pretty good. Over time though, he became worse and worse, and then once global hit, he became awful. He was rock bottom for a couple years. He was only good in showdown. He was terrible in 3v3s. If you ever tried to play him in 3v3s, you were basically throwing. Then suddenly he got a new gadget, a new star power, and he became absurd. He became broken. He became S tier for a really long time. The meta could change, but he stayed good until they started targeting his gadget and his star power, that being extra toxic and slowing toxin. Those two specifically. Not much else with Crow got changed at all. I don't think his health has ever changed. His speed has never changed. His damage has rarely changed. A few things have stayed consistent about Crow. 1, he's annoying to fight. 2, his auto aim is insanely easy to use. And 3, he's relying on his star power and gadget almost entirely. If those get nerfed, he becomes a bad brawler. If they get buffed, he becomes an amazing brawler. So I've been thinking about some ideas that they could use to maybe fix these problems with Crow because, yeah, I feel like he has a few things that could be touched upon. You could call this a rework or just slightly rebalancing him. Also, this is coming out on Christmas, I believe. So if you celebrate that, Merry Christmas. If you don't, then happy holidays or have a good day. The first thing that came to mind for me about Crow is the fact that his damage is pretty weak. At far range, you're gonna hit 1 dagger maximum per brawler. You're almost never gonna hit 2, and if you do, it's because somebody's like dashing in between 2 of them and they get hit. That being said, at range, the most you're gonna do is hit 1 dagger that does a couple hundred damage and then ticks them down with poison for like 5 seconds. Now that's when people start to think Crow is really annoying because he keeps you poisoned forever and you can never heal. So you just have to go back and wait 10 seconds before you can finally heal and go back in. Then you get hit again, you get poisoned again. It's really annoying. That being said, that's also Crow's main playstyle. You're not supposed to go in close because his damage is super weak. He can hardly 1v1 any brawler besides maybe like throwers, but even they have counterplay to him. He's a very situational brawler, and this is why his star power and his gadget came in clutch really hard because extra toxic used to reduce enemies damage by like 25%, which is when it was at his best, which would allow Crow to win more interactions because he basically always had a shield. His team always had a shield as long as he kept people poisoned. And slowing toxin, when it lasted like 5, even 3 seconds, was broken because it was a bunch of free auto aim hits for you and your team, and a lot of the time it was a free kill. But with both of those things being nerfed to the ground, basically, both of his strongest strengths are now gone. Since his damage from afar is pretty weak and his damage up close is also pretty weak against most brawlers in the game, first thing I thought of was, what if you increase his base damage when you actually hit the dagger and either nerf the poison damage or nerf the poison duration so you get maybe 3 ticks instead of 5. I think it's 5. This could make it so then his burst damage potential is a little bit better, but he's less annoying because you're not poisoned as long. So it also help with his up close interactions, and I just feel like it would be a net good for the game. Not only would he be less annoying, but he would also just be a better brawler. He would do more damage. Now, maybe that's a dumb idea, but I also have a couple more ideas of things that could potentially be changed for him. And I'm not saying that all these things should be changed, or really any of them. These are just some ideas that I've had to like rework him a little bit. But let's talk about his bad features, like his shield gadget. Nobody ever uses this, and it's just not that good. On a low health, squishy brawler like Crow, it just doesn't change much. Like a shield would help a brawler who already has a lot of HP because it would increase their total HP by an exponential amount. When Crow's is like the lowest in the game, a shield isn't going to do that much when it only lasts 3 seconds. Now, I don't have an exact idea on what they could do about his shield, like how they could change it, but like what I was thinking is one of 2 things. Maybe your shield increases based on how many enemies you have poisoned when you press the button, or maybe it could be like a overtime heal for when you poison people. Something to make the survivability of it a little better and maybe a little more skillful than just pressing a shield like a Rosa super, but worse. If you have any ideas on what they could do to change that, then just let me know in the comment section. That's just my 2 ideas that I had. And I think the biggest change that they could give to Crow is increasing his supercharge rate. I don't exactly know why, but Crow has one of the slowest supercharge rates in the entire game, let alone, I believe, the slowest supercharge rate for a jump ability. when his jump ability isn't even that good compared to others. I'll throw some dashes in the mix too. Like we have Fang's dash. He gets that really quickly and it's overpowered. We have like Daryl's dash. That one's also really good. El Primo's jump is really good. Edgar's jump is all right, but you get it really, really fast. Crow's jump is very situational because you can use it in 1 or 2 situations. The first situation is to reposition yourself, either switching lanes or getting out safely. And the other choice is to super onto the enemy when they're already at 1 HP. Because if you jump in on somebody when they're not already 1 HP, there's a chance that Crow would just die. Especially if there's a second enemy nearby, Crow is not gonna win. It can be all right for Brawl Ball, but anywhere else, he will just get shredded because his health is not good enough for an assassin who jumps in, which is why his title is a little interesting to me. He's called an assassin, so they clearly want him to be played like an assassin, but his kit doesn't really make sense for that. You don't have survivability to jump in. Your super jump doesn't even do that much damage unless you have the star power or the hypercharge, and he's better off played like a controller brawler because he doesn't do that much damage. So your best playstyle is to keep people poisoned and keep your distance. That doesn't sound like an assassin to me. There was a point in Brawl Stars where Crow was at his best, in my opinion, where you could charge your super really fast so you could jump in, get it back, and either continue cycling it if you're not dead, or you could jump back out, which I think was the most fun Crow has ever been. And I don't really know what happened to that, but they gutted his super. You can never recharge it by jumping in. You'll get it maybe like halfway back, unless you go crazy or get super lucky and you somehow kill everybody, then you might get it back, but that chance is still low. So overall, I feel like they should maybe increase his burst potential and get rid of his annoying aspects, like keeping people poisoned, slowing people, I don't know, stuff like that. And then again, I think that they could even just remove slowing toxin and maybe replace it with something different. Like, I'm calling for an entire Crow kit rework that would still like keep him similar to how he was, but more modern, because it feels like a lot of the old brawlers are kind of outdated now that the newer brawlers are getting these insane things. And like I said before, it feels like Crow is too reliant on one gadget and one star power, and now that it's better to use Crow's other star power, it's just not that good. And also on topic, Crow's hypercharge is not that good. Its best use is on the heist safe, which is a mode he isn't even that great in the first place. He also gets it so slowly that you're lucky to even get it once in a match. Like normally you could get it 1 time, but getting it 2 times, you have to be a god. You have to go crazy the whole match to even get it more than once. And then again, it's only great in heist. Otherwise, you might get like 1 kill from it if somebody's like out in a bad spot or if they're already low. But besides that, it doesn't even have crazy team wipe potential like so many other hypercharges do. And that goes hand in hand with this supercharge rate. Not only does it take forever to get that super, but it also takes forever to get that hypercharge. So for most of the match, you're best off just sitting there in the backlines poisoning people. And if you ever get jumped when you don't have that super, you're gonna die immediately. I also think the meta is just not great for him right now. Like Fang exists, Edgar is good, Dynamite can one-shot him. Most of these brawlers can one-shot him, actually. Like, Fang can go in and instantly kill him. Dynamite can one-shot him. Maisie can two-shot him, or sometimes borderline one-shot him. Nani can one-shot him. Piper can basically one-shot him. Like, a lot of things can one-shot this brawler right now, and I feel like he doesn't have enough things to make up for the fact that he can get blasted by so many brawlers. Then again, you could still do well with him if you play him correctly, and that goes for any brawler. Like, if you're good enough, then you can do good with them. And some people probably think that Crow is super overpowered right now, but the majority of people I'm seeing right now are saying that he is like mid-tier in every single mode, which is crazy considering he just got a hypercharge and more than half of the brawlers in the whole game don't even have one. So if a hypercharge isn't enough to make him good after just his gadget and his star power got nerfed, I think that's kind of crazy. So yeah, hopefully something happens to him. Like, I would love to see that second gadget, the shield, get changed. I would love to see his slow gadget even maybe get a rework or something. And I would like to see his base kit get somewhat of a rework, like his base damage getting increased and his poison damage or duration getting nerfed, so then he has more burst potential but is also less annoying at the same time. Maybe they could even make his main attack have less spread, so then it's not as overpowered to auto aim, because right now you can auto aim it at any range, I believe, and it could still hit. So maybe they can make that a little different, so then you can't auto aim it forever. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm spouting nonsense here. I'd rather see Crow be a good brawler for a good reason rather than him being carried by 2 extra abilities that you have to purchase later in the game. And I mean, that's even the reason why people are upset about hypercharges. Like, some brawlers are becoming ridiculously broken because of an ability that you buy later in the game. It's the same thing for his gadget and star power. So yeah, that's gonna do it. Goodbye, guys. Have a good day.